how weak and out of control he's become. He just engaged in a mass hallucination, listing off a bunch of programs that actually don't even exist.
And on me, we're staying focused on Canadians. We're investing in the kinds of things that are going to help people. We stood up for dental care. We stood up to deliver a school foods program.
Outside of his own head. But if he's not prepared to stand up for the country, to axe the tax and axe the sales tax on new homes, how about a carbon tax election now?
Carbon tax or no carbon tax? That's the question Pierre Poilievre wants you to answer. He's calling for a carbon tax election, and it could change everything about how you live. But before you decide, there's something you need to know.
Then why don't we have a real election about taxes? He can run on his tiny 2-month tax trick, and I'll run on my common sense plan, or a permanent axing of the carbon tax and axing the sales tax on new homes. Why not let Canadians decide now?
A hidden detail that could flip your opinion completely. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. In Parliament, Pierre Poilievre sparked a firestorm and relentlessly attacked Justin Trudeau's border policies. The opposition leader presented a bleak picture of a besieged country where the number of illegal crossings has increased unimaginably. Poilievre's voice roared through the room as he disclosed startling statistics. The number of illegal entries had increased by 500% in just the last year. However, Poilievre contended that the repercussions are what are truly horrifying. He cautioned that Canada's unique partnership with the United States is in jeopardy. He asserted that as waves of migrants use Canada as a backdoor into their country,
we're going to continue to deliver the kinds of things that matter for Canadians. Dental care, free insulin, school food programs, all programs that Conservatives voted against, and now they're going to vote against a GST break for Canadians right across the country. We will stand up for good Canadian jobs. We will make sure we continue to have great relations with the United States as we build a stronger future on both sides of the border.
American officials are growing impatient. A chill went through the room when the opposition leader said, "Prime Minister, your negligence is pushing us to the brink of a diplomatic crisis." Even more concerning is the situation on the ground. Poilievre told heartbreaking tales of people feeling overwhelmed and abandoned in border towns. Overnight, the population of one small community doubled, pushing resources to their limit. Hospital wait times have tripled, schools are overcrowded, and housing is hard to come by. The burden on social services, however, is what really baffles people. Poilievre revealed a startling statistic. In just 2 years, the cost of assisting asylum seekers has skyrocketed by 1,000%. He vividly depicted a system that is about to implode, with newcomers receiving preferential treatment and Canadian families being forced to the back of the line. Everyone's eyes were on Trudeau as Poilievre's assault peaked. The country held its breath, anticipating a forceful response, a strategy, or anything else that would reassure Canadians that their government was in charge. But even Trudeau's most ardent supporters recoiled at what transpired next. A masterful example of political evasion was the Prime Minister's response. He spoke in general terms about Canada's dedication to diversity and compassion, utterly ignoring the hard data and practical effects Poilievre had exposed. Laughter and jeering broke out from the opposition benches as Trudeau stumbled through prepared talking points. Tension erupted in Parliament as everyone was dissatisfied with Trudeau's feeble defense. However, the chaos along the border is only the beginning. An even more serious threat that has the potential to destroy Canada's economy and bring the country to the verge of catastrophe is about to materialize. A much more serious economic threat was developing while Parliament quarreled over border disputes. Imagine discovering when you wake up that 990,000 Canadians have abruptly lost their jobs. It's a very real possibility, not a nightmare. Parliament was rocked by Trump's startling threat of a 25% tariff on Canadian goods. It is impossible to exaggerate the possible destruction to Canada's economy. Since trade with the United States accounts for 40% of our economy, this action could instantly destroy entire industries. Pierre Poilievre quickly launched a scathing critique of Trudeau's leadership. He presented a sobering image of a country ill-equipped to fight economic wars. Poilievre roared, "Prime Minister, your weak policies have left Canada vulnerable." While you preach about diversity, our workers are about to lose everything. The opposition leader's remarks, which focused on the sector's most vulnerable, touched a nerve. Already damaged by past conflicts, softwood lumber may completely collapse. 40,000 jobs in Ontario and Quebec alone are at risk, according to Poilievre. However, it doesn't end there. The industries of energy, agriculture, and auto manufacturing are all on the verge of collapse. Trump's threat is far from meaningless, experts caution. They cite the current trade conflict between the United States and China as a clear illustration of how rapidly tariffs can intensify. Members of Parliament were clearly terrified as they grasped the enormity of the impending disaster. Desperate for a strategy to prevent this catastrophe, all eyes were on Trudeau. However, what transpired was an instance of blatant political malpractice. In response, the Prime Minister rehashed talking points and offered evasive assurances. He muttered about protecting Canadian interests and a Team Canada approach without providing any specific solutions. Poilievre, his voice brimming with disdain, seized upon this vulnerability. "Your empty words won't save a single Canadian job," he growled. "We need action now, before it's too late." The opposition benches erupted in chaos as Trudeau fumbled. The tension in the air increased as it became apparent that Canada's economic future was at stake. However, this trade crisis is only the start. Trudeau's clumsy response has political repercussions that could destroy his government from within. As Trudeau fought to protect Canada's economic interests, a quiet uprising was growing among his own people. Once fervently loyal, Liberal MPs are now publicly doubting their leader's abilities. The startling claims you are about to hear have the potential to permanently alter Canadian politics. Every day, Trudeau's leadership flaws get more pronounced. Frustrated by their waning power, Liberal MPs are speaking out against the Prime Minister's tight control. In a shocking statement, one courageous member of Parliament said, "It says a lot about our government at this point right now, and it says a lot about some of the shackles that I put around MPs." The growing resentment within the Liberal ranks is evident in this explosive comment. But Trudeau's troubles aren't limited to his own party. Once a source of stability, the Liberal NDP coalition is now displaying significant strain. Concerns about the NDP's influence on government policy are being expressed more and more by Liberal MPs. Many Liberals are wondering if their NDP allies are pushing the government too far to the left, and the recent proposal for a GST tax credit has become a hot topic. Political analysts caution that the past may be reoccurring. They cite the 1993 Progressive Conservative government's dramatic collapse, which was caused by internal dissension and a lack of confidence among MPs. Would the Liberals under Trudeau be following suit? A challenge to Trudeau's leadership is a real possibility. Ambitious MPs are seeing an opening as his approval ratings continue to fall. From the perceived inaction on urgent issues to the cost of living crisis, Canadians are becoming more and more irritated with Trudeau's handling of important issues. Potential opponents within the Liberal Party are becoming more confident as a result of the public's overwhelming dissatisfaction. Trudeau's hopes of retaining power were severely damaged by a recent poll. Nowadays, most Canadians think their issues are not being adequately addressed by the government. Liberal ranks have been rocked by this shift in public opinion, and many members of Parliament are worried about their political futures if significant changes aren't made soon. The opposition is honing its weapons as Trudeau's hold on power becomes less firm every day. Pierre Poilievre and his group are eagerly observing the Liberal internal strife, prepared to seize any opportunity for vulnerability. A political confrontation that could change the course of Canadian history for years to come is in the making.